Master Democrats have condemned his comments, accusing the president of pursuing a racist, insane agenda. Well, let's speak now to Dom Kelly, co-founder, president and CEO of the campaign group New Disabled South. Really good to get your thoughts on all of this. Before I ask you about President Trump's comments, just explain what your organization does.
Well, thank you for having me, Jonathan. My organization is called New Disabled South, and we fight for disabled people to have access to employment opportunities, to care, to accessible, affordable housing, all of the things that improve the lives of disabled people. We are fighting for that here in 14 U.S. southern states.
And when you hear President Trump's comments suggesting that possibly diversity recruitment amongst air traffic control was a factor in the tragedy that happened here, what goes through your mind? What's your reaction to that?
My reaction is that is par for the course from a man who has spent his life, his career, denigrating and devaluing people who he deems to be less than him. Our organization put out a statement condemning his remarks, and we called them repugnant. And they're worse than repugnant. They're repulsive. They're devoid of empathy, and honestly, just factually incorrect. Diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility initiatives had nothing to do with the plane crash at DCA. And this is just another opportunity for the president and his administration to target these policies and initiatives, which is really seeking to reverse the progress that has been made by disabled people, people of color, veterans, millions of Americans, by hoarding opportunity for a select few like him. And Donald Trump is a prime example of a mediocre man who has just failed upward. So because of his immense wealth and privilege, has failed upwards his entire life. So he wouldn't know what it's like to be excluded from a job because of a disability or be legally paid pennies per hour like disabled people can be in this country. He knows, right? He knows that it's a lie. He knows that disabled people had nothing to do, or the hiring of disabled people in FAA roles had nothing to do with this crash. It's another way to politicize an issue that is actually about American values.
Yeah. You know that there are critics, of course, of DEI programs and how they're implemented across America. What do you say to those critics? What do you say to people who fear or are certainly wary of what's termed positive discrimination?
Well, what I would say is that everybody deserves the opportunity to have access to employment, to housing, to food. And these are things that oftentimes people who are marginalized in this society do not have equitable access to. Everybody deserves those opportunities, whether they are a person of color, whether they are an ethnic minority, whether they have a disability. DEI is about American values. It is about having access to the dream that so many people come here to be able to access. So what I would say is that we should all be proud of what we have done and have continued to do over the history of this country to continue to give more opportunity to people who need it most. And what I will say about the disability community is that programs like the ones that have been implemented at the FAA have increased the representation of disabled people, has helped increase the employment rate for disabled people in the United States. We have made so much progress, and remarks like this and policies that go after DEI initiatives are actually just going to set us back.
Okay, we really appreciate getting your thoughts and comments on this issue. Dom Kelly, co-founder and president of New Disabled South, thank you so much. Well, David Blevins.